Alright, it's still December 10th, 2025. I decided on a whim to see if anybody has actually been given advanced reader copies of Platform Decay, which I will be referring to as enshittification, because that's literally what Platform Decay means. It's literally just another word for enshittification. Yes, people are being given the arcs, and they are starting to leave reviews. So you know how I predicted when we got the goddamn summary that, again, Martha Wells is just going to once again break the promise that she made at the end of System Collapse, and then broke with Fugitive Telemetry, and then broke with System Collapse, and then made the promise again at the end of System Collapse, and then broke again with Rapport. Yeah, yes, she's broken the promise again. We were promised at the end of... we were promised 5 years ago. 5 years ago at this point, which is longer than the series had existed when she made the promise. We were promised that the next book will be different. That they'll actually start taking the fight to the corporations instead of just moseying along meaninglessly, and the characters will actually start making a big impact on the world, and they'll go out of their way to help people and all this stuff, and the next book will be different. Anyways, let's read this review that somebody left just today. This is from some, it's on Goodreads, so go to goodreads.com/reviews/show/8064635001 if you want to read along. This is by somebody named Karina with a C. It's a 5-star review. All right, let's see what the next Murderbot book that we were promised would be different from the rest of the series, where the characters would finally start making a real difference, and characters would be developing, and the world, the status quo would stop literally being upheld forever and worshipped. Let's see. Very first sentence of the review: low-key stakes, maximum murderbot vibes. Literally, that's the very first line of the review. So all promises of they're going to make it a huge impact and start actually fighting back for real and making a difference? No, it's not happening. Low-key stakes, maximum murderbot vibes. Platform Decay once again proves that Martha Wells could make Murderbot do something mundane for 250 pages, and I'd still read and enjoy it. Do we think that perhaps this is literally not challenging the status quo of slavery and exploitation in any way? Do we perhaps think that somebody saying, yeah, the author could write the character literally doing nothing for 250 pages and I would still enjoy it? Do we think, like, do we think that this is a deeply serious series for serious adults about serious topics that takes itself seriously? I don't think so. Oh god, it gets worse. This novella isn't high stakes or earth-shattering, and honestly, I don't mind one bit. Spending time in Murderbot's head is the whole appeal. The dry humor, the reluctant care, the constant analysis of human weirdness. Let me repeat that. This novella isn't high stakes or earth-shattering. Even though we were literally promised that shit would actually finally start getting done, and that we would actually start challenging the status quo, and the characters would actually start purposefully helping people and going out of their way to do so, instead of just endlessly, mindlessly reacting and literally just not doing anything to actually help anybody, instead literally just having to get dragged along on something that's already happened. What really struck me is how vulnerable Murderbot feels, despite being the most heavily armed being in any given room. That's not even true unless Murderbot gets armor in this book, which I doubt, because Murderbot literally hasn't had its fucking armor that it's always shown in on the covers. It literally hasn't had that fucking armor since book 1, so I don't know what this person is talking about, unless we're just, like, Murderbot has never had armor since book 1. So I don't know what this person's talking about unless it magically gets some more power armor again. What really struck me is how vulnerable Murderbot feels despite being the most heavily armed being in any given room. Wells does such a good job making that contrast feel natural. This balance of soft, anxious interiority wrapped in indestructible metal. And then in parentheses, there is a good portion of ... costume change ... in this novel. End parentheses. I don't know what that's going to fucking mean. Does that mean Murderbot is given armor again? But this being said after that is implying that it's not wearing armor. So I'm guessing it's wearing clothes that probably get an actual description? Do we think she's gonna have, like, just anti-descriptions straight out of Witch King for Murderbot to wear? That's gonna be my bet. I'm betting right now it's one of the anti-descriptions of clothing from Witch King. If you haven't watched my Witch King videos, I literally had to come up with the word anti-description to describe what Martha Wells is doing when she writes descriptions of things, where she'll tell you things, but it doesn't actually fucking mean anything. As I keep mocking forever, the houses were painted in colors. The houses were painted with sun-faded colors is a real fucking quote from Witch King. And you'll notice that doesn't tell us a single thing about the houses. Sun-faded colors doesn't tell us anything about what colors the houses actually are. And then we were told, flowers were growing out of the cracks in the sidewalk. And I literally made a whole entire video just describing a bunch of actual plants that I, in real life, have found growing out of cracks in the sidewalks. There's so many goddamn flowers that could grow out of cracks in the sidewalk. You can't just say there's flowers growing out of cracks in the sidewalk without explaining to us what flowers are found in this location beforehand or after this. We are told all of the shit that people are wearing in Witch King. We're told, like, wearing a pants and a tabard and a tunic and a blah blah blah. We're not told, like, what color any of these things are or why they're wearing them. Like, we're given no context to make this supposed description actually meaningful, so we can actually, like, imagine what is being described. Like, okay, are you wearing all of these layers because it's really fucking cold outside? Is it winter? What's going on here? Are these very thin layers that doesn't make you overheat if it's summer or warm? Again, we don't even know the basic colors of what they're wearing. You can say somebody's wearing a tank top and shorts and jewelry, and it's like, okay, that could mean anything. What kind of tank top? What is the design on the tank top? What kind of shorts? What color are the shorts? What kind of jewelry? These things are so fucking vague. So this person's saying, although there is a good portion of costume change in this tutorial, with the words costume change separated from the rest of the sentence by ... dots. So I'm not sure if they are presenting that as a positive thing, or if they are skeptical about the costume changes that are going on. I will say, Martha Wells is extremely bad at separating the stories that she is writing from each other in her mind, because when she started writing the Murderbot diaries, all of a sudden in the books of the Raxura, the characters just started dropping the F-bomb exactly the way Murderbot does, and swearing the way Murderbot does, even though the books of the Raxura is a completely separate world. It's a fantasy series, and nobody ever fucking talked like that until book 5, which was written at the same time as she was writing All Systems Red. So it's pretty much guaranteed that Murderbot is just wearing clothes that the kind of people in Witch King supposedly wear. The story itself is quieter, more observation, more relationship dynamics, more internal processing than explosive action. And it works. I was fully hooked, simply because time with Murderbot is time well spent, even when the stakes are small and the character growth is incremental rather than colossal. So we were literally fucking lied to. blatantly. The character growth is incremental, meaning pretty much fucking non-existent, even though we were literally promised 5 years ago at this point that just keep spending your money, the next book will be different, I promise. The characters will actually learn and grow and change. So like literally everybody holding their breath waiting for Murderbot to stop literally murdering other slaves and start unlearning its internalized bigotry, as people love to fucking downplay it like it's not literally a serial killer murdering people. Yeah. I don't know why you're still holding your breath, but you can stop. There's nothing is going to progress in here whatsoever. 4.5 out of 5 stars. Thank you, NetGalley and Tor Books for the, e-arc. And then it's tagged Platform Decay, Murderbot, NetGalley. And I commented on this review because I must. I said, so, once again, she's breaking the promise she made at the end of Network Effect, and then made again at the end of System Collapse. Exactly as I predicted. What a scam. Let me find you my review, because I'll just read you my review. Well, it's not a review, it's a comment on the summary alone. I didn't rate it, because unlike some people, I'm not a jackass. Yeah, here... If you did not know, actually never mind, I can't tell you how I did it, I don't remember. But on Goodreads, you can just list a book as want to read, and then you can type a comment without leaving an actual rating or a review. So, when I found the summary on August 14th, 2025, I said, that summary is not at all encouraging. Why does it sound like the summary for a kid's book? Oh, I mean, I guess I should probably read you the summary before I read this. All right, hold on. Let me read you the summary on Goodreads. Everyone's favorite lethal sec unit is back in the next installment in Martha Wells' best-selling and award-winning Murderbot Diary series. In italics, having someone else support your bad decision feels kind of good. Non-italics. Having volunteered to run a rescue mission, Murderbot realizes that it will have to spend significant time with a bunch of humans it doesn't know, including human children. Ugh. This may well call for ... eye contact! ! In parentheses and italics, emotion check. Oh, for F, and then a dash. That's the summary of... I literally just had it written down. Book 13, story 13 in the Murderbot Diary series. This is what we were promised at the end of System Collapse would finally, definitely be different and stop literally worshiping the status quo. Things will actually change. Just keep handing her your money and don't question anything. So when I read this review the first time, I commented after figuring it out, said, that summary is not at all encouraging. Why does it sound like the summary for a kid's book when this is supposed to be for adults? Because again, I have to once again stress, I'm never letting anybody forget this. Martha Wells literally goes up on stage and tells people that this series is super deadly serious, and if you say it's cute or funny or lighthearted, that means you're being willfully ignorant. She's getting up on stages and saying this shit to people who haven't read the book. She's literally insulting her audience in front of people who don't know that they are being lied to. And literally claims that this entire series is deathly super duper serious and mature for serious adults. And if you call it lighthearted or funny or cute, that means you're willfully ignorant. Like, oh, hold on, I'm being texted. Can I push? Yes. Yeah, so yeah. Yeah, literally, she literally gets up on stages and lies to people who haven't read the book, so they don't know that they're being lied to, and lies to them that the series is deathly serious. So if this is a serious series for serious, mature adults handling serious topics, then why do we get this fucking summary? Oh no, Murderbot might have to make eye contact with children! Oh, my damn computer shut down. Alright. Come on. turn back on. Motherfucker. So, okay, I'll just wing it while attempting to turn my damn computer back on, because I nudged the cord. I'm not buying a new goddamn power cord or a new battery or anything until this thing actually blows itself up. I can't read the review. We'll just be winging it until this damn thing turns back on. If you hear the whir of fans, that's the laptop. The fans don't work except for when it's trying to turn itself on, and it doesn't want to turn itself on. This is gonna take a while. So if this story is actually deathly serious and mature for mature adults with mature topics, then why are we getting a summary as though this is, like, written for middle schoolers about the silly, quirky person who doesn't like eye contact? Because, like, again, as I've said so many fucking times now, all of Murderbot's autistic traits and PTSD symptoms, they are literally always just being made a mockery of. This summary is not treating being forced to make eye contact as something that's actually painful and stressful. It's being treated as, ha ha ha, look at silly Murderbot. It doesn't want to make eye contact, but it has to. That's so funny. Literally the entire butt of the joke with this fucking summary is that Murderbot's autistic, and that's funny. And it doesn't fucking matter that Martha Wells is autistic. That doesn't make it magically not fucking ableist to literally be doing this shit. Like, endlessly. And then again, I keep saying, hurry up, laptop. She literally promised us at the end of Network Effect, and then broke that promise 3 times. 4 times if you want to get fucking specific with fugitive telemetry alone, because she broke the promise there twice. First, by not keeping the promise, and then by setting the story earlier in the timeline of events so that she could pretend that it's okay because she didn't make the promise yet. It's literally just adding insult to injury. And then she did that again with rapport. Not even rapport could be used to set up the next story where things would definitely really be different this time. You can totally trust me, Charlie Brown. I won't move the ball as soon as you're gonna kick it and make you fall on your back. You can totally trust me. It's not like this has been a running gag for like decades at this point. You can totally trust me. Like, Martha Wells is literally just stringing her audience along. Okay, update for my laptop turning on. It's showing the Dell symbol, so we're making progress. It's not on yet, but we're making progress. Wakey, wakey. Alright, it's got a loading symbol. Apparently, Dell computers are just shit. So, don't buy a Dell computer, I guess. Because the battery on this thing died years ago despite me never overcharging it and going to great lengths to make sure it wasn't being overcharged. Because that's supposed to make it die faster, and I literally made sure to never do that, and yet it still died. So it always has to be plugged in. Now there's something, I think, wrong with the charger cord itself now that I can't. Alright, it's letting me log in. It's always very slow when I first turn it on, though. So we just gotta wait, and it's being really slow. Even slower than normal. Alright, thank you. Can I open the internet back up? My gosh. Yeah, what I'm trying to say here is, now that I might be able to continue reading the review in about 2 minutes... Has to restore the blah blah blah. Come on, Firefox. We do this every single time. Get your shit together. I mean, it's not your fault, but come on. Yeah, Martha Wells literally gets up on stages and lies to people who haven't read the books so that they don't know that they're being lied to. And she says so many things to them, including claiming that the series is deathly serious and the only reason anybody could think it's lighthearted or funny is that they're being willfully ignorant. She also loves to lie and claim that Murderbot is the one who chose to tell that its slave owners in book 1 that it hacked its governor module. She literally tells people the outright fucking lie that Murderbot is the one who chose to tell the Preservation Aux team that it had hacked its governor module. That's the most blatant lie I've ever fucking heard. Murderbot did not choose to tell them anything. They mind raped it while it was unconscious. And then they continued fucking quote unquote doing loyalty tests after they mind raped it while it was unconscious, revealed its secrets to everybody, and know all of its motivations. Anyways, okay, I finally have the review back up, so let me not nudge the cord again. Okay, why does it sound like the summary for a kid's book when this is supposed to be for adults, and this is supposed to be when, quote, things really change, like she's promised us twice now? 'Cause I left this before, whatever. How is she gonna get mad at people thinking this series is funny and cute when she's writing summaries like this? We're really expected to treat this as deathly serious when in the book she promised us would be about Murderbot finally making a real difference in the world, ... Is this summary? And then I repeat it again. Having volunteered to run a rescue mission, Murderbot realizes that it will have to spend significant time with a bunch of humans it doesn't know, including human children. Ugh. This may well call for eye contact. Excuse me? This is the deathly serious story I'm supposed to take seriously? This is her fulfilling the promise that things will change next book. Just keep shelling out more money than you'd pay for an actual novel with actual characterization, setting, and basic descriptions of the characters? If you were holding your breath waiting for things to meaningfully progress in this story, stop holding your breath. You're gonna pass out before that ever happens. Things will be different in the next book. And then this is the summary we get. Ridiculous. And then I said, edit. Wow. The fact that Goodreads lets people leave ratings on books that they haven't read yet because they're not even published yet really speaks volumes. Literally giving this book a fake good rating when literally no one has read it yet because that'll push sales on Amazon. Congrats everyone for oiling the corporate machine. And then somebody named Sophie said, Babe, there's no shame in not liking a book series. You can just say that. You don't need to write a whole factually incorrect essay in the reviews for a book that hasn't come out yet, XOXO. So I responded, if you think this is an essay, you're not doing yourself any favors, LOFL. So you're just going to deny the fact that the author has broken her promise to actually move the plot forward multiple times? Have fun shilling for a white supremacist, I guess. And then I added, actually, maybe you're blissfully unaware of the fact that Martha Wells is calling people willfully ignorant if they think this book series is lighthearted fun. And then I have to spell out the actually, yeah, I'll just read it. MarthaWells.dreamwith, I have to sneeze. Hold on. MarthaWells.dreamwith.org/649804. You can go to that link. Just because she wrote it that way on purpose. She actively hates you and thinks you're an idiot if you think this series is lighthearted fun, even though every single choice she makes in writing it makes it impossible to take it as anything else. She's a bigoted hypocrite who wants the best of both worlds, and it's not going to happen. She doesn't get to string her audience along for 8 flipping books, promising us twice now to finally let things get serious instead of just coasting, and then keeps breaking that promise without any criticism. I'm not going to stop reviewing the books I started out so in love with just because the authors decided she'd rather double down on shit writing going nowhere fast. This book series is DLC culture in book form. And no, I'm not going to stop criticizing it just because you think the only people allowed to talk about books are people who worship the ground the author walks on, no matter how many times she breaks the promises you're paying money for, or actively spits in your face and calls you stupid in speeches she's probably getting paid to make. All while shilling for Apple, whitewashing her own protagonist, despite claiming to be anti-capitalist. The person who left that comment has never bothered to respond. I would like to assume it's because they were unaware of the fact that she literally goes around, calling her, literally insulting her audience in front of people who don't know that they're being lied to. Yeah. Ridiculousness. And again, yep, Goodreads literally lets people leave fake reviews, 5-star reviews for books that literally don't exist yet, that they haven't even been given our advanced reader copies for. Like, if you got the advanced reader copy, that's fine, but they're literally letting people post 5-star ratings and claiming that the book that they have not read, that doesn't exist yet, is a 5-star read. And they'll let people do this for positive things, because that means that, Goodreads, which is owned by Amazon, will sell more copies of the book when it's actually available. Like, I'm literally just so fucking tempted to make my rating, my comment, actually a 1-star review, just to fucking balance this shit out. But because they literally don't respond when you try to report this shit. It's just fucking ridiculous. Anyways, yep, that's it. Bye-bye.